So, in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to expand beyond the previous teleporting trap idea and make a teleporter trap where the monsters don't have to be right next to you and to teleport such a short distance, but they could be very, very far away, in fact. So I'm actually sticking to the map that I made previously, and I'm simply going to modify it so that the teleporter trap is of a different nature. And I'll show you the method that I tend to use. Because very often when you make a map, you're going to have everything very packed together very tightly, so that there is no real room for just this big room filled with monsters and such. But you want to kind of, keep your teleporting closets separated. Okay, so I'm going to be modifying this map. So first thing that I'm going to do is just move this really far away. And I'm also going to break the connection because we are going to rely on a different system here. So this room is very far away. Let me move the monsters as well here, so that they're in the same room, like this. And let's tidy this up a bit, remove some of the superfluous vertices. Okay, so room looks exactly the same as it did before, and we're still going to be using the same teleporter destination as well. But now it's going to be triggered differently. So this system is going to rely on noise instead of relying on vision. The previous system, when you walked past the archviles, they could see through the wall, which seemed like just another wall to you, but it was actually a fake wall. They could see through that, and they teleported inside. In this system, they're going to hear you, and as soon as you cross a certain area, it'll make it possible for them to teleport towards you as well and attack you. So it's going to be a bit more similar to the monster closet idea that we had earlier with all the chain gunners, except that now they're all going to teleport inside, and they can be on the other side of the map if that's where you decide to put them. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make these monsters not deaf, because clearly they can't be deaf. They wouldn't be able to hear you. And the next step is that I'm going to link this sector to this sector. This might seem a little bit weird, but what's basically happening is that if there's any sound happening in this sector caused by the player, then it will also be heard in this sector, even though there's no actual connection between them. But since you're linking the sectors together, the game is going to think that, okay, it must be connected somehow. It must be the same sector, hence any sound that happens here also happens here. And that's how we're going to trigger the monsters. They can't see us, but they can hear any sound happening in here. So the way to do this is that you select your primary sector, you select your secondary sector, and you press the J button on your keyboard. And now this is one sector. If I hover over this one, both are highlighted, and over here it's the same. Okay, so now what you're going to do next depends a little bit on what you're trying to make with your map. So if you want the monsters to teleport in straight away as soon as they hear the sound, that's fine. You can do it like this then. If I shoot now, it needs to be the teleport inside. So that would be one method of handling it. What you could do alternatively is that you shoot, but they don't teleport inside straight away. They only teleport inside as soon as you actually pick up the chain gun. Or not the chain gun, the chainsaw. That's the system I'm going to be creating now. So, actually, I'm going to put these guys a little bit closer so that it's easier to work with. So I'm going to move them over here, and we'll move them back later on as well. But this way it's easier to keep track of everything. Okay, so this is our monster closet, 8 archviles, nasty business, and I'm going to block them off by simply raising the floor. Archviles can't jump, so they can't get on here. I don't actually care about this missing texture. I'm never going to see this room anyway, so I might as well leave it the way it is. So the teleporter line is this edge of the platform, and clearly they can't get up there, so they can't teleport in there. If I shoot now, they're going to aggro. You can hear them aggro as well, because they're close by, but they don't teleport inside, so nothing happens just yet. So what I'm going to do next is that I'm going to select this line, and as soon as you cross this line, which is pretty close to the chainsaw, the floor is going to lower, and they're going to be able to cross the teleporter line and teleport in here. Okay, so since we're linking a line to a sector, we must make use of tags as well. And we've already used one tag for the teleporter, tag 1, so this must have a separate tag, and this is going to be my tag 2. So I'm going to give it tag 2, and that's it. And the line, I'm going to give it tag 2 as well. And the action that I give it is that the floor lowers, so that it's actually accessible for the archviles to walk across this line and teleport in there. If you go to the list of actions, it's going to be under floor, and there's a whole bunch of them. You can pick a lot of different actions. The one that you want to have here is probably walk 1, lower the floor to the lowest floor. So there's only 2 floors in here. One was the higher one, and we want to lower it to this floor, so that it's on the same level, and the archviles can actually cross it. Alright, so let's give it that action, and that's it. You know, you want to make sure, of course, that that the player will shoot, that they will make some noise, because if there's no enemies in the room, then why would you possibly want to shoot? That would be pointless. So you could kind of, you know, lure the player into shooting here. You could put a couple of former humans here, you know, a couple of simple enemies, and then obviously before you pick up this chainsaw, you're probably going to try and kill these former humans. You want to get rid of them. Or alternatively, maybe you grab the chainsaw and then you start trying to kill them off. So let's see what happens now. So I've killed the former humans here. Nothing's teleported inside just yet. And as soon as I cross this line, and blowing us up again and resurrecting the former humans. Okay, now as I said, it doesn't matter where you have this room. You can put it literally anywhere on the map. So if I want to put this area, hang on. If I want to put this area really far away, let's say that I want to put it over here, like really, really far away, then all I have to do is just move the area, move the monsters alongside with it, and it's still going to work. So this teleporter is still going to work. It doesn't matter what kind of distance you use, as long as, of course, you don't try to, you know, exceed the map boundaries and go with some crazy big teleporter distance. Okay. And just to test it, I'll show you that it works. Now, generally speaking, you don't want to have these teleporter traps right next to the place that they're going to teleport to, because then you could hear them aggro. You know that there's going to be a trap. Now, if I do this again, you'll hear that when I shoot, there's no aggro. At least you can't hear it. You can't tell that there's a trap right here. But they have aggroed. As soon as I cross this line, they teleport and blow me up once again. And that's the idea behind teleporter traps. That's how they work. What you see very often in maps is that people make entire maps. You know, they actually create the entire geometry that they want to have, and then they just say, you know, I'm going to put a couple of teleporter traps in here, and they just kind of put them all together in some corner of the map so that it's easy to make adjustments to it as well. That's the huge benefit of teleporter traps. When, like, you can design your entire map and you don't have to leave space open for these teleporters. You don't have to make some closet, you don't have to leave areas that you can use for the map itself instead. You know, you can create a coolly designed map and just teleport monsters in there. Something that I tend to do with teleporter traps is that I don't use them as traps only, but I fill up previously visited areas. So what you see often in maps is that you go through certain areas multiple times and then you just have a huge pile of corpses. There's no gameplay left anymore, you're just walking. But you can fix that by teleporting new monsters in there and kind of, you know, forcing the player to pay constant attention so that they're never safe, that they never get the idea that, you know, there's no monsters left, that they've cleared the entire area. There's always the threat of potential monsters being out there again. But yeah, that's the basic idea.